Hi everyone! Welcome to Entrepreneur Chit-Chat with Alina, episode 4. And today we have a very special guest coming on, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I'm really excited to have him on today. And if you're just joining, welcome to Entrepreneur Chit-Chat episode 4. My guest today is actually my first ever entrepreneur friend. So the first person that I ever met that was a young entrepreneur, and I'm super, super excited, honestly. I'll let him introduce himself, but I'm just, a little over the moon to get to talk to him today and catch up, but also, share with you guys, everything that he's done, because he has a pretty awesome story. And I'm just trying to invite him in. There we go. Now we're just waiting. Happy Sunday to you all. It is a little bit of a different setup, if you can tell. I'm actually up north in northern Michigan right now, obviously staying safe, but we're up at a little ski resort. You can kind of see in the background the people skiing, but COVID safe and everything, so all good. So that's why the setup's a little different today, but it's all good. And we're waiting for Brennan to join so we can chit-chat as entrepreneurs. Hence the name suggests, Entrepreneur Chit-Chat. But yeah, honestly, I've known Brennan for probably 4 years, 3 or 4 years, something like that. No, I would say probably around 3, but it's kind of funny that he's going to be on here today, and I just have to invite him. So, sorry, it's taking just a little bit of time. But yeah, so I've asked you, I actually took a poll on my Instagram story to see if you guys could guess who was going to be on today's episode, but a lot of people thought it was Elon Musk. Sorry, Elon Musk is not here, but guess who is here? Brennan. Hi.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. I woke up about 10 minutes ago, so that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, it was kind of an early ask because we're on different coasts, but it's around noon for me, but I know it's early in the morning for you.
Well, it's okay. We'll live. No, we're good. We're good. You said it's noon for you or 11?
It's noon for me.
Oh, goodness. Okay. We are ready. I saw you have your sweat.
Yep,
Right?
we're matching. I actually forgot to mention that I'm wearing my Hoop Swag sweatshirt, and Brennan will tell you about Hoop Swag, but I'm also wearing my socks that Brennan made for me that have my face on them.
Wow.
And I love them so much. All my friends think they're so funny, but they're super cool. So I'm pretty excited about them. So why don't you introduce yourself, your name, your age, your company, all that jazz.
Yeah, so my name is Brennan Agranoff. I'm not Elon Musk, unfortunately. I just turned 21 a couple weeks ago, and then I run a company that's called Hoopswag, and we basically print socks. There's a lot more complexities, but long story short, we basically take white socks and print them. Especially if you've ever seen socks with people's dogs on them or anything, we do a lot of those. So you can upload pictures of your animals, and we do the printing and manufacturing and shipping and everything. So.
Well, you make it sound a lot less exciting. For one, I get super excited whenever I see anything from Hoosfag or receive anything. And actually, my dad is wearing his socks today, too. So, you could say it's a little narcissistic to wear socks with your face on them, but I think it's pretty funny. So, I know this story, but how did you start your company, and why? Why, when, how?
Okay, fair. So I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and so we live 5-10 minutes from Nike headquarters here. So everyone that I was in middle school with, basically their parents worked at Nike, and so these kids went to school with fancy Nike stuff that no one had. And so back in like 7th grade, everyone started wearing these like Nike Elite socks. I don't know if you're like, I don't know if anyone knows what they are. They got like little blocks on the back though, and they were like $14. So they start wearing these. They have like white, blue, black, red, or like 4 basic. So I'm also colorblind, and that plays into this. But I would always want to wear like neon stuff, just to like be obnoxious, I think, and I thought it looked good. But also I was a 7th grade boy, so that says a lot too. But I basically was like, all right, I need to find like the most colorful pair of these things that I can. And so I went on an Instagram and was just trying to find them, and I found a super colorful pair, spent like $40 on it, and then ended up like all my friends started asking how to get them. So I did a bunch of research, figured out how I could actually like print them myself because there's no way it cost $40, and then ended up getting my like, basic entry level, the easy to get essentially to be able to print these, and then literally set it up in my started like pressing socks in 8th grade or something like that, and then it's like the spot in between there and now. That's how the whole thing started. And it honestly was just because I was obsessed with socks more than anything. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna make money. Like I love socks, which is why I was a weird child. But
So it's so funny to me whenever you tell the story and you mention that you're colorblind because I didn't know that when you first explained to me like what your company was. And then when you told me, well, this is kind of a twist that, I guess you wouldn't expect. And it always cracks me up. Um, but
I got colorblind glasses recently. They did the company like, reached out and sent me these colorblind glasses. So shout out to Enchroma, but I can like see when I wear them theoretically.
what? That's
Yeah,
so cool. Wait, what kind of colorblind are you?
it's like like a heavy deutan, I think is how you say that. It's deutan, but I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it correctly. Um,
Okay.
but it's like red green essentially. Like when the leaves like fall in autumn or whatever, they all look like a pile of brown. Like you guys see pretty colors, brown. So
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's how you explained it to me before, and that made sense. Okay. So what interested you in like this entrepreneur lifestyle? Like what got you interested in like starting a company other than just like your love for socks?
what? Okay, so like I started selling stuff when I was like 7 or something on eBay. Like I would just sell things from eBay and whatnot, or like garage sales on eBay. And then I think I kind of fell in love with the concept of like being able to sell things. And I know it sounds crazy, but I thought it was so cool that like I could sell something from like I live in Portland. I remember the first some woman in Boston, and I thought that was like the coolest concept. I know it's just shipping, but I thought it was really cool. And then being able to like build something that you can do that over and over and over again to a ton of people. I think like the concept of business and the stuff that comes along with it is like very cool as well. And then like with the whole sock thing, like I had to learn how to like code and do graphic design and all these other things. And so the socks were like a cool thing, but it was more so the other kind of like soft skills I'd say that I found a lot more entertainment in.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Also, I'm looking in the comments and people are having an argument over
Yeah.
somebody who's French. Okay, guys, pay attention to what's going on here. We're having a conversation. Let's not attack the French guy. Everyone's welcome.
Alina, here's the thing. My brother has these friends, and like anything that I could have told you this was gonna happen. They're very big fans. I really respect Isaac, so
Okay.
he
Well,
shows up
respect.
everywhere.
Respect. Um, yeah, I think if my sister was old enough to have Instagram, she would probably do something similar.
Exactly.
Um, so who supported you through your whole like entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I mean, so like I grew up with. I mean, I'm just literally still living at home now, but like my parents, I would say, are like the closest thing I've ever had to like mentors. So like my dad ran like an analytics agency, which was like a business. My mom came out of like IT consulting, or not, she worked IT at a big like advertising company. And so I think those two were like the biggest like mentor people, I would say. School definitely I wouldn't say was supportive of anything I was doing. I had some other like, and then by the time I was like 15 or 16, I met a bunch of other like young people doing stuff, and like that was definitely helpful for support wise up until like basically ever since I met them. But support wise, I think definitely like parents were encouraging, but more so they weren't like, oh, you need to do this, you should do this. They were like providing resources to do kind of what I wanted to do, but weren't like shoving me in one direction or the other. So like because I've also seen some horror stories with that where parents are like trying to shove kids to do stuff, and it's like it never ends up well. And so I big shout out to parents for like doing that the right way, I feel like.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was the same thing for me. I was more like the one pushing it on my parents, um, and being like, I really want to do like this is something that I'm really interested in because honestly, kids won't do something that they don't want to do. If you're getting forced to do something, if you're getting forced to play a sport or, I don't know, be in a school musical or something like that, you're not going to want to, do it if you're being forced to. But if it's something that you want to do, something that you're passionate about, like that's a whole different story. You're going to, drive yourself. Um, so was entrepreneurship like for me, it wasn't. I never really saw like entrepreneurship as like a young person until, my dad had like exposed me to kind of the business world.
Yeah.
But like, were you exposed to entrepreneurship either through like your parents' careers or I don't know, friends or family? Like, did you, ever consider that as a career choice before coming up with the idea of Hoop Swag?
I mean, entrepreneurship, I've always also gone back and forth on this. Does owning a business mean entrepreneurship? I don't know. Because I feel like entrepreneurship's more innovation, but I also like technically on paper it does mean, so I don't know. But my dad did run a company, so I was exposed to that for sure. But entrepreneurship, I didn't know what the word meant until I was like 13 or something. So like I would say I was exposed to the concepts of it, but not the name. Like I honestly am still not the biggest fan of the name. I think it's like way overused now. Again, I still don't know the difference between business owner and entrepreneur are different. But I know I was definitely like exposed to it, and like I was on YouTube all the time, and so I like when I was 13 was when the whole like it became sort of cool, or like I guess like it started to become cool to do that. So you have all these people publishing videos, but I don't think I was exposed to it till slightly like after I even started the company, which was probably like 2 or 3 years after that, when it started becoming like, oh, this is what I do. Like that's the job title. So honestly, no, I don't think I was exposed to it horribly. I was exposed to the concepts, but not the like titles of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I definitely feel like now more than ever, kids can consider, I guess you're right. I don't know if it's like the proper term to use like entrepreneurship as starting companies
I don't
or
know if it's the
owning
same thing.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that, but I feel like more and more kids are seeing that as, a career choice instead of like, oh, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an
Yeah.
astronaut or whatever. Now they're thinking, oh, well, I can start my own, I can start my own thing. I can start my own company. I can do, something that's never been done before instead of just the, kind of generic careers that you know of like, in elementary school. Um, so how has your like opinion of being an entrepreneur changed from the beginning? Because I definitely didn't think it was going to be so hard to create a company and to get distribution and to you know deal with all the decision making that comes from or that comes with the territory of starting a company. So I feel like my idea of entrepreneurship and my opinion of it has changed over time. How do you feel like your opinion has changed? Has it changed for the better or for the worse? Or I guess how do you feel about entrepreneurship now after you've gone through that whole journey?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like don't think anyone has any clue what they're getting into, like when you start it, because it sounds like a great idea. Um, I mean, yeah. So like obviously, as you know, it's like a very difficult thing, and there's a ton of like ups and downs. Like it's just an incredibly like you go really high up and then really far down and back and forth. Um, but I think after doing it for a couple of years, I've come to like appreciate the highs and the good parts of it, and then you realize that are going to have some down parts. But like the other thing I think about, which I think I've come to appreciate more after doing it for a while, is like the entertainment is not in the like what the end like selling a company or whatever it is. Like that's great, but the entertainment I feel like is more so in the actual like building process and the just the stuff that sucks, because you look back and like really appreciate that. And I don't think I appreciated that as much when I was 4 or 5 years ago, honestly, because like you just don't know until you kind of do it and are on the other side. But like the actual going through it and like solving problems and all that stuff, I think I appreciate that all a lot more now, like looking back.
Man, I'm I am astounded by the amount of support that you have in the comments, Brennan. And
Oh, mine turned off. I can't see comments anymore.
um, well, somebody did say that they hope that I'm paying you because, from all of this business, all of these business tips, you do deserve that 20K. Um, I might just pay you in candy, but
I got your candy like literally yesterday.
oh, did you try any?
No, I haven't tried it yet. I got home last night. It was on my porch.
Okay, well,
I'll
you're gonna
send you an
have to try
update
it.
today.
You're gonna have to, yeah, yeah. We'll have to do an update and see how you like the new products. Um, so, obviously you didn't do all of this by yourself as your company started to grow. How did you build a team to, support you and help with the day-to-day, fulfilling orders and such?
Yeah, so that's been a journey. So I basically like hired my first person when I was like 15 or 16, I think. It was weird because like I was literally still working out of my garage, and like when you go to, I know I needed like someone to hire because I couldn't make enough like and do everything, and I was like, I think that's the obvious solution, and so I literally remember it was one of my mom's friends that would come to like work while I was sitting in class, and it was the weirdest thing, but like it was just like it worked. And then from there, like there's a lot of in between, but we like got our own. We built like our own warehouse on. We live on 5 acres, so we built like our own warehouse here, and then we had like 10 employees, and then I moved into like a real warehouse, and then we moved again, and like I just moved for the last time in like November of last year, and so now we're at a point where like we're like in a pretty seriously sized warehouse, at least compared to what I ever thought I would get to, but in terms of like actual team wise, this has probably been one of the most complex things because and like when you are that young, 15, 16, I never had a real job. So how are you supposed to manage people? Because generally people who manage people worked their way up the chain and learned how to manage people because they were managed. And I never did that. And so it was one of the most like difficult things, which is where like, so my parents both work for the company like full time, which is why like, and they help a lot in terms of that process. Like I'd be lying to say that I was like, oh, I did this all myself because like there's been so much support in that area because they've worked for companies and they've done management roles. I've never done that. Like there's management training and all these things. And so they were very like helpful in those areas where I was completely clueless. And like you can watch as many YouTube videos on that, but a lot of that's just like life experience. And so in terms of like hiring people, it's definitely been confusing. And then it ended up being a lot of moms at first, honestly still is. And then during Christmas, we hire on a bunch of seasonal people. But and so those people are all like working in the warehouse. The other weird thing that I have is I have this like entire like, I consider it like under the iceberg type thing or under the water. Because I have all my like online people that no one really knows exist. We have like 100 something people that do cropping for us on these images. And so like I've built all sorts of tools and training for those people because I manage all those people. So there's like physical in person people, and then there is like this whole digital world of people that like work, and most of the physical people don't even know that those people exist. So it's just this interesting like trade-off because that has been a whole thing in itself. Like, how do you train online people that you're never going to talk to because all they're going to do is cropping, and how do you manage all of that and get them paid? And that's been a whole fun thing too. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, needless to say, building a business and fulfilling the day-to-day, necessities is not easy, or it requires a lot of people. Um, and especially as a company grows, you have to readjust and decide, when you need to hire more people, when you need to, I guess let people go. It's all about those tough decisions, and it's definitely tricky finding the right type of people to be on your team. Um, so were you expecting like media coverage when you started the company? And I guess when you started getting some, like how did that make you feel, and how did people around you start treating you?
yeah, the media coverage thing was weird. So I basically the only reason I got media coverage was I bought this company in 2017, and I was like, oh, I've never done media. We should do like so. I think my dad was like, oh, we should try a press release, see what happens. I didn't even know what a press release was at this point in time. Do a press release, and just by chance, like my PE teacher from 8th grade, who I was like buddies with because he sold stuff on eBay, so I'd always talk to him. His wife was in PR, so just that was the only connection I had to PR, and so I started working with his wife, and we did this whole press release and whatnot. And then we pitched it for a couple months. literally no one picked this thing up. And then she, like 2 days, it was like in March or something, right? She was like, yeah, I think this is probably done. Like this story, no one wanted it, which was probably pretty standard, it seemed like. And then literally 2 days later, we get an email from her that's like, oh, so good news. I just got like an email from CNN. They want to do an exclusive with you. And I didn't even know what that an exclusive was, but they did this news story. And again, the whole press release was like about me acquiring this company. And then they do this whole interview thing, and they like locked me in a room for like 6 hours and like asked me the same 10 questions so you answer perfectly, right? But we did this interview, and then the article comes out. It's like 17-year-old sells $1 million in socks, and it had nothing to do with that, and that was fine. Like it didn't really matter, but it was just crazy because that one little piece of media coverage was like a complete snowball because like that got us local media coverage, which then ended up like in the Associated Press and went out to like every local news station, and then the international people, like we had someone come and film like a German documentary here. Like there was all this stuff that happened because of that one article. But the most interesting part was like I was a junior in high school at this point, so I went to school that morning. And like I remember sitting in class and I'm like, yo, like I'm getting all these Twitter DMs from like other reporters that wanted like schedule interviews or whatever. And I remember I was looking at poetry class and I was like, yo, dude, like can I like go in the hall? Like I have like this media company trying to call me. And he was like, what do you mean? And then they like found the article and I was like famous in school for a day. But it was just funny. Everyone knew me as Sock Kid after that. No one actually knew my name in high school. They just knew me as Sock Kid, which was a good time. But
oh my gosh, that's the same thing for me. Literally because I switched.
Are you Lollipop Girl?
Yeah, I'm Lollipop Girl.
Nice.
Lollipop Girl or Zollipop Girl. Because I switched districts when I went to high school last year. Last year was my first year of high school. And I knew barely anyone, honestly. And so all of these random seniors like figured out about the company and they would yell, yo, Lollipop Girl down the hallway. And it was super like embarrassing. Like I think you were more of like a celebrity. I was more like the freshman that got picked on, but it's okay. I mean, all the freshmen.
Celebrity is very relative in a high school scenario. They don't really seem to care.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, actually, I only knew who you were because in Entrepreneur Magazine, I DM'd everyone that got featured in the magazine. And I like DM'd you and I was like,
right?
Yeah, I like DM'd you and I was like, congratulations for being in Entrepreneur. And you were like, I'm in Entrepreneur Magazine? And I was like, how do you not know? Did they not interview you? You're like, no, they just took my quote from something. And it was so funny. But then it was I don't know, it was probably like the best thing that I ever did because then I made all of these friends. And now you basically have introduced me to all my entrepreneur friends.
Yeah, it's funny because the whole like squad of our young people is just we never see them anymore because no one ever can travel anymore. But they all exist somewhere. I've slowly tried to keep in touch with people. So
yeah, I mean I basically talked to Michaela and you and I guess Jade. She wasn't really in like the OG group, but those are basically like the only people that I talk to on like a day-to-day basis. But
wow, I'm honored to be included, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't cut you out of it because you introduced me to everyone.
Wow.
Well, plus, you know, you're a great friend and
you're like, I can't cut you out, but
so what's like the best thing that's ever happened to you because of this business and because of, you know, everything that is or everything that's, you know, happened because of it, like the media coverage? What has been like the very best part?
Best part? Goodness, that's a tough question. Oh boy. I mean, I don't know. I think again, I sound like an old person now, but like I just feel like in the past, especially since like quarantine, I've had a lot of like not reflection on everything that's happened because everything moves so fast and then it just stopped moving so fast. But like I feel like I'm very grateful for the ability of like flexibility I have in life now in terms of like I didn't go to school. I don't really feel like I need to. I'm able to like travel and do things if I want to. I can like I don't know. I kind of like the action. Whenever people talked about, oh, you can like the whole people like running their own business because of the flexibility of everything and like you kind of control it. I never fully understood that because I was like kind of always like going. And then when stuff settled down, I was like, oh, I see what you mean. Like it's kind of nice to be able to do things from time to time if you want to. And like especially as some of my friends started getting jobs and like they can't ever leave because they're working 5 days a week. I think really, as simple as it sounds, just having the flexibility of like life in that regard has been one of the like biggest payoffs for me. And that's not like a one moment thing, but just in a general sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is pretty nice when you get that flexibility, and I can definitely agree with that from my experience. And even with online school, because I have to do virtual school,
Yeah,
um, it's it's just, it's so much easier to do it all just basically at home. I mean, you sit at your computer, you do school, then you answer emails, then you do work, and then, if I want to, I can go into the office.
yeah.
But really, it's just like, it's so crazy how um, everything can be either really compact and you can do it all from your house, or you can, really spread it out and travel all over to do basically, any kind of work duties that you have.
I forgot
Um,
you don't have physical school right now. See, that's crazy to me because I had to sit in school for 6.5 hours a day. Like you had to be there. So that's cool, but I totally forgot about that.
yeah, I
And you
mean,
can't travel, so
well, and I'm only out of all the like people that I've met, you and me were probably one of the only two that ever did regular school and did work and had a company. Everyone else like switched to homeschooling, which
that's
I
right.
don't think I just don't really like the idea of not, having the social aspect.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was interesting because like you and I kind of were on the same wavelength about that, how, it was kind of a balance. And then you went to school after like a big media tour or something, or from being out of town, and you had all that work to make up, or um,
Yeah, no, exactly.
people, treating you differently and stuff. So it's definitely a different experience. So, obviously it's COVID right now, and you can't really travel or do the stuff that, we've been able to do in the past. But what are your goals for 2021, for the new year, and just for the future in general?
Okay, so I'm very strange. The whole goal thing I struggle with. Will totally admit I like goal setting is not a skill of mine. In terms of like going forward though, also I was thinking about this. Why do people set? I understand why they set them on New Year's, but that's always been an interesting concept to me too. Like why the first of the year versus like February 22nd. But anyways, um, so goals for this year. I mean, a lot of it are like a lot of our business in the last year, at least business wise, was like around masks, and so now we're transitioning out of that into like figuring out what that's going to look like. We're launching a bunch of like new things, if you will. But goal wise, I don't know. There's this fundraising thing that we're working on that I'm actually really excited about in terms of like doing fundraising for schools, like elementary schools and middle schools instead of selling popcorn, which I think is pretty cool. Like I'd love to see that actually do well if school goes back. But honestly, I'm trying to get this thing to clear up a bit so I can like explore the world again. That's
Trying to get the pandemic to clear up a
Yeah,
bit.
that's my goal is for COVID to go away. I have no control over that, but that's my goal. Um, but no, I don't know. I'm just trying to like basically, I guess, get the most out of what I can given the current situation. So
Yeah, that's a good goal. I think that's a goal for me as well. Just make the most of it. I've kind of tried to make the most of also the downtime, because it isn't that, rushing around, fast-paced lifestyle. It's definitely more, slow, but that doesn't mean, you can't make the most of it and try to do, everything that you can with the resources that you have at the time. So that's a big goal for me, and I think as entrepreneurs, um, for everyone watching, it's a good goal to have just in general, to try and make the most of the opportunities that you have in the moment. Um, but we have some speed rounds. This is kind of like a fun kind of. It's not. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. It's more like fun, like about you.
okay,
So we're gonna try and do it really quick. Favorite hobby outside of business?
soccer,
Favorite place you have ever lived slash visited?
Jordan.
Okay. Is that a desert?
It's a country.
Oh,
Nice,
wait. Is
nice.
that the place where you took the photo with the camel?
Yes.
Okay, well, it technically is sort of desert.
It technically has a desert inside of it, but it is a country.
Oh, okay, cool. If you weren't an entrepreneur, what would you be?
Oh, a truck driver.
Let's get into that.
I've always wanted to be a truck driver, like the people who drive across the country. I think that's the coolest thing ever.
Because you like seeing the country or you like driving?
No, I just think like the logistics of that is very interesting.
I was not expecting that. Okay, what is your favorite Zolli Candy product or flavor?
Okay, I can't answer that. I have not tried them yet. I will have an answer later today.
Okay, well, just like post it on your story or something because the people need to know,
All right, that's fair.
what's your favorite. Well, that's my last question, but thank you so much for being on. I really miss hanging out, and it's been super fun to kind of catch up and see what you've been up to. And I feel like everyone on the live, including myself, learned some new things about you. And yeah, that's definitely going to be something I'll remember in
Yeah,
case
if you ever need a ride in
something.
like a semi truck, maybe one day I'll own one. I'd give you a ride in a semi truck if you ever needed one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know you have good friends by your side that would pick you up in a semi truck.
No, thank you for having me on. I don't know the last time I talked to you. It's been a while, so
Well, if you responded to my text, you would know.
I'm really good at that. I apologize.
No, I'm not. I'm not either. So I can't. I don't even have room to talk.
You know the problem, right? You have green bubbles.
I know. The problem is that I have an Android, but that's okay. I'm working on it.
Okay, we'll get you to blue bubbles one day.
Yeah. Maybe you can drive me to the Apple store in your semi
I
truck.
could. I absolutely could.
Well, that sounds great. And tell everyone where they can shop your products.
Oh, hoopswag.com and petparty.co.
And he makes really awesome stuff, you guys. Like, I love my Hoop Swag merch. Honestly, it's really soft and like comfortable, and it's also practical looking, so it's super cool. And I also love my face socks. So if you want your face on a pair of socks, go to hoopswag.com, and also follow Brennan and Hoopswag on Instagram for updates on what Brennan's doing, even though he doesn't post that much. But he would still appreciate the follow. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching today. Make sure to tune in for Entrepreneur Chit-Chat whenever I post it on my story. And keep smiling. Bye.
Yeah.